Chicago's front office was on the verge of pulling the trigger on a massive, season-defining trade for a marquee edge rusher. Draft picks were packaged, contract numbers were crunched, and fans were bracing for an explosive blockbuster deal. Then, without warning, General Manager Ryan Poles slammed the brakes and called off every single negotiation on the table. The catalyst wasn't a failed physical or a greedy agent, but the terrifying, game-changing leap of second-year edge rusher Austin Booker. Booker's explosive physical transformation and lethal edge-bending synergy with Montez Sweat didn't just save Chicago's draft capital, it proved the Bears already unlocked their dream pass rusher right on their own roster. The entire league was watching Halas Hall, waiting for the inevitable news burst to flash across social media channels and sports networks. Every analyst, fan, and beat writer agreed on one undeniable narrative. Chicago had a playoff caliber defense, but they were a singular elite pass rusher away from becoming an unstoppable powerhouse. The void opposite Montez Sweat felt like a ticking clock, a glaring vulnerability that opposing offensive coordinators were eagerly waiting to exploit. For weeks, the rumor mill spun out of control with speculative graphics showing elite defensive stars wearing the navy and orange. General Manager Ryan Poles was actively dialing rival front offices, aggressively inquiring about high-priced veterans who could step in and immediately command respect on the edge. Draft charts were drafted, trade packages were calculated, and executive meetings ran late into the night as the organization weighed the massive financial and capital costs of securing a proven star. The internal consensus seemed absolute, pointing toward an expensive, franchise-altering acquisition that would surrender valuable future draft picks to solve the edge dilemma once and for all. Then, behind the closed doors of the executive suite, everything suddenly shifted. The phones went quiet, the aggressive trade offers were quietly withdrawn, and rival executives were left wondering why Chicago had abruptly pulled out of active bidding wars. The reason wasn't a change in organizational philosophy or a budgetary mandate from ownership, but a sudden, undeniable reality unfolding right before their eyes on the practice field. Every morning, as the coaching staff evaluated tape and monitored player development, one young defender was systematically wrecking play designs and dominating initial reps against starting offensive tackles. Austin Booker, once viewed as a raw, long-term developmental project, was suddenly displaying a level of play that made external trades completely redundant. The front office realized that the dominant edge threat they were prepared to trade away future assets for was already lining up in their own facility every single day. What the outside world viewed as an urgent crisis on the roster was actually a calculated, patient evaluation playing out perfectly for the Bears' hierarchy. Ryan Poles and his scouting staff had seen the flashes during Booker's rookie campaign, the rare length, the natural bend, and the relentless motor that hinted at immense upside. But nobody anticipated just how quickly those raw physical tools would solidify into a refined, game-wrecking skill set. As Booker continued to stack dominant practices, overwhelming seasoned veterans with explosive get-off speed and unstoppable pass rush moves, the need to sacrifice draft capital completely evaporated. The trade rumors collapsed, not because Chicago gave up on upgrading their defense, but because Austin Booker forced them to realize that their ultimate answer on the edge was already wearing a Bears helmet. The physical evolution of Austin Booker stands as the definitive turning point that completely altered Chicago's long-term roster strategy and forced the front office to shred their trade blueprints. When Booker entered the league out of Kansas, his scouting report was defined by a single recurring paradox: world-class natural traits wrapped inside an undeniably raw, underweight frame. At roughly 240 pounds, he possessed the razor-sharp flexibility, long arms, and fluid ankle flex that draft analysts salivate over, but his lack of functional core strength made him a glaring liability against power blocking schemes. In his early reps, elite offensive tackles could easily neutralize his speed by simply anchoring down and making hard contact, absorbing his initial move and leveraging their weight advantage to push him entirely out of the play. The flashes of brilliant edge-bending ability were unmistakable, but without the physical density to survive the physical meat grinder of the professional game, Booker was viewed purely as a long-term, situational pass rush project who would take years to develop into a reliable down-to-down contributor. What transpired between his rookie campaign and his second year in the building, however, was nothing short of a complete athletic transformation that shocked the Bears coaching staff. Through a grueling, hyper-targeted off-season strength and conditioning program, Booker added nearly 15 pounds of dense, functional, lean muscle without sacrificing a single fraction of his explosive initial get-off. His transformation wasn't merely about adding broad weight to look impressive on the scale. It was a scientifically designed structural overhaul tailored specifically to his movement profile. His lower half became significantly more powerful, granting him the critical lower body anchor required to hold his ground against double teams, convert his elite initial speed directly into raw power, and withstand the violent collision forces that occur at the line of scrimmage on every single snap. When he reported back to mandatory practices, the difference in his play was immediate, dramatic, and utterly undeniable. The lean, wiry defender who used to rely exclusively on wide arc tracks and finesse moves had vanished, replaced by an imposing physical edge threat who could dictate terms to veteran linemen. Booker's legendary ankle flex and shoulder dip, the exact mechanical traits that make edge rushers so lethal, were suddenly backed up by overwhelming power at the point of attack. On play after play against Chicago's starting offensive line, Booker demonstrated the rare ability to turn the corner at near impossible angles, sinking his pad level below the tackle's hands while maintaining full forward acceleration directly toward the quarterback. His 10-yard split exploded off the line of scrimmage, forcing offensive linemen to set deep in protection out of sheer panic, which only opened up devastating inside counter moves and violent bull rushes. This dramatic leap forward wasn't just happening in isolated moments or garbage time situational reps. Booker was systematically dominating high-grade competitive practice periods against seasoned veterans. His relentless motor and high-octane pursuit speed, which were once hindered by physical fatigue, were now sustained across entire drives because his upgraded body could handle the brutal workload. He stopped guessing on the field and started reacting, pairing his newly acquired physical dominance with a rapidly growing football IQ and a refined catalog of pass rush moves. Every time the coaching staff pulled up the high-angle practice film, Booker's reps stood out like a siren. He was routinely destroying run designs before they could get outside the tackles, overpowering tight ends in single coverage and collapsing the pocket with a level of consistency that only elite starting pass rushers achieve. The high-grade athletic potential that front offices dream about had officially crystallized into game-wrecking, high-impact reality, proving to Ryan Poles that the star edge rusher he was planning to buy was already blooming right before his eyes. The operational force multiplier behind Chicago's entire defensive strategy centers directly on the tactical synergy between Montez Sweat and Austin Booker. When Ryan Poles executed the trade for Sweat, he acquired a proven blue-chip pass rusher capable of altering offensive game plans through pure physical intimidation. Sweat's rare blend of length, explosive power, and motor commands immediate respect from opposing offensive coordinators, compelling protection schemes to slide protection toward his side and consistently slide a tight end or running back over to chip him at the line of scrimmage. In the brutal arithmetic of NFL protection schemes, committing 2 or 3 blockers to neutralize a singular game wrecker creates an unavoidable mathematical advantage elsewhere on the field. The fatal flaw in Chicago's defensive system had always been their inability to exploit those isolated matchups on the weak side. Without an explosive counterweight to capitalize on single coverage, opposing quarterbacks could comfortably step up into the pocket away from Sweat's rush, neutralizing the defense's primary weapon. Austin Booker's rapid emergence fundamentally broke that tactical equation, transforming what was once a unilateral pass rush into a devastating two-pronged nightmare for offensive lines. When coordinators attempt to slide their protection package towards Sweat to absorb his bull rush, they are forced to leave their right tackle stranded on an island against Booker. Isolating an isolated tackle against Booker's elite edge bend and fluid change of direction speed is a recipe for complete structural collapse in protection. Booker possesses the precise, lethal mechanical profile designed to punish tackles who lack elite lateral agility. The moment a tackle oversets to guard against his burning speed off the line, Booker sinks his hips, executes a razor-sharp inside counter, and flattens his path straight to the quarterback's back hip. If the tackle hesitates or sets shallow, Booker uses his immense arm length to keep the blocker's hands off his chest frame, ripping around the arc with an ankle flex that bypasses the pocket edge entirely. This dynamic creates an inescapable dilemma for opposing coaching staffs when breaking down film. If an offensive coordinator decides to keep extra blockers in to slide a protection back toward Booker, Montez Sweat is instantly unlocked in one-on-one single coverage against a lone offensive tackle. A matchup Sweat wins with ruthless, violent consistency. If they slide protection towards Sweat, Booker pinches the pocket from the secondary edge, forcing the quarterback to hold the ball or scramble directly into the teeth of Chicago's interior pass rushers. The front office recognized that paying $40 million per year for an aging veteran trade target wouldn't actually improve this tactical reality. An expensive external veteran requires high usage rates and dominant scheme priority, often disrupting the delicate chemistry and organic rush lanes built between existing defensive linemen. Booker, operating on a cheap rookie contract, offers the exact mechanical complement Sweat needs: unselfish pursuit speed, explosive edge-bending flexibility, and an relentless motor that thrives on high-volume, single-coverage opportunities. When examining the telestrated coaching tape, the tactical beauty of the Sweat-Booker dynamic becomes overwhelmingly clear. Sweat's primary power rush creates an initial pocket collapse from the strong side, compressing the quarterback's operational vision and pushing him off his spot. As the quarterback attempts to slide away from Sweat's penetration, he flushes directly into the relentless, high-speed trap set by Booker flying down the opposite arc. Booker doesn't just accumulate sacks, he alters throwing angles, forces rushed decisions, and creates chaotic loose ball turnover opportunities by attacking the quarterback's blind side with strips and lunging tackles. The tape reveals that Booker's presence elevates Sweat's efficiency, and Sweat's gravity opens up wide open operational runways for Booker. Buying a high-priced external star would have eaten up critical financial resources without delivering a superior tactical fit. Booker isn't merely taking up space on the opposite edge, he is actively maximizing the front office's multi-million-dollar investment in Montez Sweat, proving that the synergy Chicago searched for across the entire league was already waiting on their own practice field. Inside Ryan Poles' executive masterclass at Halas Hall, modern NFL roster construction is governed by a singular, cold, hard mathematical truth. Sustainable championship windows are built through drafting, developing, and retaining homegrown elite talent, not by overpaying for quick-fix external trade targets. surrendering a rich package of top-tier draft capital, often demanding multiple first or second-round selections. For an aging veteran pass rusher instantly cripples a front office's ability to continuously replenish core roster depth. Beyond the devastating loss of draft picks, the financial realities of the veteran edge rusher market carry astronomical salary cap consequences. Top-tier veterans demand massive multi-year guarantees and cap hits upwards of $25 to $35 million annually. Swallowing that magnitude of payroll on a single veteran defender inevitably forces a franchise to make agonizing roster sacrifices elsewhere, often stripping away critical extension dollars meant for fundamental young core pieces. Austin Booker's rapid, high-impact emergence fundamentally inverted that entire corporate spreadsheet, delivering elite pass rush efficiency on a hyper-frugal rookie contract. Selected in the 5th round out of Kansas, Booker represents the absolute pinnacle of front office value, top-tier athletic upside locked into a team-friendly 4-year contract that costs a mere fraction of a single veteran's annual salary. By trusting their internal scouting evaluation and development pipeline, rather than panicking into a market-inflated trade, Ryan Poles protected Chicago's financial flexibility and future draft assets. Every dollar saved on the defensive line by relying on Booker's ascension is cap space directly repurposed to fortify the offensive line, secure extensions for foundational leaders, and maintain a flexible war chest for long-term championship contention. Booker's emergence isn't just a feel-good development story. It is a calculated, strategic triumph that validated Poles' patient vision, proving the Bears can cultivate top-tier pass rush dominance without ever mortgaging the future. The ultimate bottom line echoing through the corridors of Halas Hall and across the entire national media landscape is resounding and indisputable. Chicago's exhaustive, years-long search for a premier edge rusher is officially over. Every high-impact stat projection, film breakdown, and preseason metric confirms that Austin Booker is no longer a speculative rotational prospect or a safety net backup. He is the legitimate high-volume starting answer who anchors the present and future of this defense. The era of desperate trade inquiries, overpaying for aging marquee names, and sacrificing crucial draft capital to mask a roster deficiency has reached a decisive, permanent end. When opponents line up against Chicago, they are no longer preparing for a defense with a single point of failure. They are bracing for a relentless, two-headed edge assault engineered to dismantle protection schemes from the very first snap. Austin Booker didn't just earn his spot at the top of the depth chart, he single-handedly forced the front office to rewrite their operational playbook, proving to the entire league that Chicago's next elite defensive force was already homegrown, fully evolved, and ready to dominate.